to push their button.
Push your button till the.
No, they need to all do it now to let them link.
Like that? That's, oops, okay.
Okay. Do we need to push them? You think?
You're on.
Okay. I'm getting advice about the technology this evening, and I want everybody to make sure their microphones work, please. Since some of us are new, the way you make your microphone work is to push the center button one time, and your light should go on.
It's on red.
Let's check.
Darlene, you might make notice, I forget how many it is, but there's only a limited number that will be able to be on at one time. So if you're done speaking, please shut it off so that then other ones can get turned on.
Okay. Let's call the meeting to order at 6:30. The first order of business tonight is, I'm sorry.
I think 6:05, Darlene.
I'm sorry, I can't even see the clock. I'm used to the I'm used to the meetings being at 6:30. Starting over. Calling the meeting to order at 6:05. Okay. The first order of business tonight is the swearing in of our new county board members, which will be handled by our new county clerk. Aaron, what do you want them to do? Okay, thank you, Aaron. Roll call, please.
Clemens,
Here.
Clifford, Coert, Eisenman,
Here.
Esri, Furtado, Goss,
Here.
Harper, Ingram,
Here.
King Taylor, McGuire, Patterson,
Here.
Rector, Rosales, Storr, Summers. Here. Taylor.
Here.
Thorsland.
Here.
Tinsley.
Present.
Vashaspati.
Here.
Woken. Here. Young.
Here.
Okay, next on the agenda is, there's a quorum present. Next on the agenda is approval of the agendas.
Second.
Okay, moved by Cowart, seconded by Rosales. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, the agenda is adopted. Read the notice of the meeting, please.
Notice is hereby given that an organizational meeting of the County Board, Champaign County, Illinois, will convene on December 3rd, 2018, at 6 p.m. in the Lyle Shields Meeting Room, Brookings Administrative Center, 1776 East Washington Street, Urbana, Illinois, in said county, for the purpose of swearing in county board members and conducting official business.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the floor is now open for nominations regarding the selection of the county board leader.
I, Charles Young, nominate Geraldo as chair and Lorraine as vice.
We're not doing vice chair right now.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, just chair.
Yes? You'll second? Okay. Any other nominations? Tinsley?
Yes, I would like to nominate Kyle Patterson as board chair.
Okay. Seconded by King Taylor. Okay, Jim?
I'd like to nominate Mr. Jim Goss as chair, please.
Second.
I'm sorry, I didn't see the second by Mr. Clemens. Any other nominations? Okay, the floor is closed for nominations. At this point, each of the nominees will be able to speak for a minute or two on them by themselves. So, Rosales, you were first, so Geraldo, you can go first.
Well, thank you, Darlene, for the opportunity to address my fellow county board members. I've been sort of doing this initiation since last week to my fellow caucus members as well as to other people in the community. Only my reputation precedes me and speaks for me and ahead of me. That oath that you all took today, I've done that over, let me see, this is my third term, over 6 times. And I swear to protect the laws of Illinois, protect the laws of the county, and protect the rules of the caucus. I seek the nomination today of this caucus or of this county board unanimously, all 22 members. I seek that nomination. I'll start off with that I've been vice chair elected by my caucus 2 years ago. It was unanimous at that time, and I studied under the mentorship of Pius Weibel, also Patsy Petrie, Al Klein, and a few others that I don't recall. There's been so many years on the board. I am currently, let me catch my breath, District Representative 8. I also served on the City Council for 4 years, a candidate at large. I served on the Champaign Human Relations Commission, and I've worked on many boards and commissions in this county, such as the United Way. I worked at faith-based communities, McKinley Foundation, the YMCA Board, Illinois Disciples Foundation. I've been a member of Rotary for 24 years, and a Paul Harris Fellow at that. I'm also appointed by the governor of this state to represent diversifying faculty in Illinois, and that's I've been appointed to that position now, part of the Illinois Board of Higher Ed for the last 6 years. I'm a retired higher ed administrator for the last 29 years at the University of Illinois, holding a position of the director of the Latino Cultural Center, assistant dean of students for 10 years, and then with the Chancellor's Office in the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Access. I'm also part of the National Organization of Latino Elected Officials, so I represent a wide range of interests across the nation. I meet with fellow colleagues across the nation to look at interest of the Hispanic community across the nation. We're looking at 2020 census because we're being undercounted. The census indicates that everybody is a count, not whether they're legal or illegal. So we're looking into the 20 census and making sure that everybody in this community, whether legal or illegal, gets counted so that we could have equal representation on boards such as these, as well as throughout the state of Illinois. Happily married of 40 years to my college sweetheart. I have 3 children, 38, 34, and 24. I got 4 grandchildren, and I'm happily ever after married, been a member of the Democratic Party for the last 40 years and been voting legally here consistently every election, both primary and general. And that's just a synopsis. Many of you know me for the work that I've done and contributed throughout the years, and I expect your support. If you have any further questions, I could entertain those after the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rosales. Kyle Patterson?
Thanks, Eileen. I think a quote that's kind of appropriate for this time right now is paraphrased from Abraham Lincoln's second inaugural address. With malice toward none, with charity for all, we must bind up the nation's wounds. The last 2 years have been consumed by a fight. The Champaign County Nursing Home has divided this board. The reality is that the hostility of that fight was due to the fact that we were faced with a scenario where there was no compromise. You either could sell the home or not sell the home. There was no middle ground to be met. That was a unique issue, and now that we've come past that issue, I think that it's apparent that we have more shared values than we do differences. Our goals are the same, and I think it's important for us to realize that this is not Congress, this is not Springfield. The issues that face the county board are something that we can all see eye to eye on. You know, in the past 6 months, we have supported funding a data analyst for the sheriff's office that also enabled law enforcement, but also helped the racial justice task force in implementing one of the recommendations. We agreed to some very difficult financial solutions for the Champaign County Nursing Home last month. And these were issues that we came together on and we saw eye to eye on. The reality is we have a situation right now where we're faced with a crumbling jail. We have an inhumane resources, and something must be done about that. And the last time we took that before the voters, they rejected it in every single precinct. It wasn't a Democrat or Republican issue, a urban or rural issue. It was universally across the board. So we need buy-in from all sides, and we have to work together. The reality is that my side fared pretty well in this last election. But the truth is that does not mean that we can go it alone and that we can power through. We have 13 votes, but as we know, we need 15 votes to get anything done financially. So we need buy-in from all sides. We cannot wait any longer. We have to move forward with this process, and we have to do it together. We see eye to eye more than we're opposed. And moving forward, I think that we can put that aside and we can work together to get real change done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Patterson. Mr. Goss?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm not naive here. We're in the minority. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. My wife and I have been married for 32 years. We've lived in Mahomet 24 of those years. I have 2 daughters that are both married and live out of state. I'm not a grandfather yet, but will be sometime soon, I'm sure. My background is in finance. I came out of banking. I'm a farm manager by trade, so I work. What a farm manager does is I represent the landowner in a landowner-tenant relationship, but I work cooperatively every day with farmers who are really kind of my customers. However, they're on the other side. It's what I do. I work with people. I worked on this board. I have been worked with Stephanie as the vice chair of finance. I worked on the RFP committee for the nursing home. I worked on the county executive transition committee as well. And then I've been on ELUC. I was on facilities for 2 meetings and then got moved to ELUC with some board transfers. So I have some background. I've led almost every organization I've ever been a part of, all the way back to my high school years. I've been a member of the Mahomet Lions Club for 19 years. I've been a member of the Champaign County Chamber Agribusiness Committee for 24 years since I've been down here. So I've been involved in the community. I seek your support, but again, not naive enough to know that I'm going to carry the majority of support here. And I do appreciate what this board does. I think we're going to have to, as Kyle said, we're really going to have to work together the next 2 years. We've got a lot on our plate. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for your time.
Does anyone wish to withdraw their nomination at this point? Okay, we're moving forward with a roll call vote, please. Announce your candidate that you wish to vote for when they call your name.
Clemens,
Rosales.
Clifford, Cowart, Eisenman,
Rosales.
Esri,
Rosales.
Furtado. Goss,
Rosales.
Harper,
Rosales.
Ingram,
Patterson.
King Taylor,
Patterson.
McGuire,
Rosales.
Patterson,
Patterson.
Rector, Rosales,
Rosales.
Storr,
Patterson.
Summers,
Patterson.
Taylor,
Patterson.
Dorsland,
Patterson.
Tinsley,
Patterson.
Bachaspati,
Patterson.
Woken,
Rosales.
Young.
Rosales.
Okay, I've got 12 to 10 for Rosales. So, Mr. Rosales, congratulations. Okay, the floor is now open for the vice chair of the county board.
Go ahead.
Nominations?
I'm new. So I nominate Lorraine Cower as vice chair.
I second that.
Okay, nominated by Mr. Young and seconded by Rosales. Ms. Cowart has been nominated. Any other nominations? Mr. McGuire?
I nominate Jim Goss.
Second.
Nominated by Mr. McGuire, seconded by Clemens.
I'm nominating Steve Summers.
Second.
Nominated by Furtado, second by Mr. Thorsland. Any other nominations? Okay, nominations are now closed for the vice chair. Ms. Cowart, you go first, please.
I'm Lorraine Cowart. I've lived in Champaign community since 1974. I moved down here. I had 3 children. I've been married for 26 years, and I now have 5 children and loads of grandchildren, great-grandchildren. And I've been on this county board for 30-plus years, so I know the ins and outs. I was there, talked about the old jail. I was there when they built the old jail and tore down the old sheriff place. I've also was there for the building of the courthouse, the nursing home, and the move here to Brookings, the new satellite. I've been on the highway committee for over 10 years as chairperson there. It's my privilege if I'm nominated for vice chair, but that's about all, I guess. You know, I worked for the university for 20 years in the same capacity as our new county clerk as our building service worker, and that's my history that I care to share.
Okay, thank you. Jim Goss?
Yeah, I'll make this short just because you just heard it. So I would appreciate this opportunity to work in a bipartisan way. Thank you.
Thank you. And Steve Summers?
I've only served on this board for 2 years. Mr. Harper may recall that we served together briefly on the Labor Management Health Insurance Committee and had a small success. And I told him at that time that I wanted to do something positive for Champaign County. I've got 2 years left in this term. I hope to be able to do more of that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone wish to withdraw their nomination at this time? Okay, then we will have a roll call vote. Similarly, please, when your name is called, state the person that you are voting for the vice chair.
Clemens,
Goss.
Clifford, Cowart, Eisenman,
Goss.
Esri,
Goss.
Furtado, Goss,
Goss.
Harper,
Goss.
Ingram,
Summers.
King Taylor,
Summers.
McGuire,
Goss.
Patterson, Rector, Rosales,
Lorraine Coward.
Storr, Summers, Taylor,
Summers.
Thorsland,
Summers.
Tinsley,
Summers.
Vashespati,
Summers.
Woken,
Goss.
Young.
Coward.
Okay, there is not a majority of the board that voted, so we will call a 10-minute recess while the caucuses discuss what they'd like to do next. We'll call the meeting back to order at 6:34. The floor is now open for nominations for the vice chair, and we will include the first 3 names that have already been nominated as our starting point. Does anybody wish to speak?
Madam Chair, I withdraw my
Mr.
name
Summers.
from consideration for vice chair.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Summers. Anybody else wish to speak? Or there's no further nominations for vice chair? We have Lorraine Cowart and Jim Goss are the 2 candidates, and the nominations are now closed for the vice chair. So the clerk will now read the roll, and please specify who you would like to vote for.
Clemens,
Goss.
Clifford. Cowart. Eisenman,
Goss.
Esri,
Goss.
Furtado. Goss,
Goss.
Harper,
Goss.
Ingram,
Cowart.
King Taylor,
Cowart.
McGuire,
Goss.
Patterson,
Cowart.
Rector, Rosales,
Cowart.
Storr, Summers,
Court.
Taylor,
Cowart.
Dorsland, Tinsley,
Cowart.
Vachespati,
Cowart.
Woken,
Goss.
Young.
Cowart.
Okay, I have 13 to 9, so congratulations to Lorraine Cowart. Okay, we will move along to the next item on the agenda is the determination of committee structure. We will have an open discussion first. I know we're doing Robert's rules here, but we're going to have an open discussion first, and then we'll do the action after we discuss this, because there's several places that could require changes at this point. So we're just doing discussion. So I would be open for any discussion on the board rules. Does anybody want to bring up anything about the board rules?
Yeah, well, I need clarity on the 3 different structure. So what was the past practice, and what is the difference moving forward?
You're asking about the committee structure?
Yes.
The current committee structure is that the board has 1 committee of the whole, and they have 3 other committees, which are highway, facilities, and ELUC. And the committee of the whole is consisted of policy, social justice, and finance, together at 1 meeting. Bashasbasi?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I've only been on the board a few months, but based on my communications with other board members who've been here longer than me, I think that sort of the combined structure has been working well. I just have one thing that I'd like to sort of modify, and I'm not sure if we can do that now or if that needs to be proposed as an amendment when we have the next item. I do think we should have 8 members under county facilities instead of highway. So the way it works is we need to have 7, 7, 8, basically on the 3 standing committees. And I really think that county facilities is going to be the big thing coming up, and we should have 8 members there to have the most eyes on that. Because I think that's also where we've struggled as a county in the past to sort of have adequate coverage of that issue.
Yeah, I would like to support that as well. I think facilities is going to be, I've been turning it on. I think that facilities is going to be one of the busier committees, and I think we need to make sure that we have good attendance for that every time. And I would support structure B, which is the current structure, 1 cow and 3 standing.
Yeah, at this point, I'm just asking if there's any changes anybody wants to make, so we can at least think about them. So, potentially 8 members under committee structure for facilities. Anything else? Okay, then I will entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to adopt structure B, 1 cow, 3 standing committees.
Second.
I move to amend by striking seven members under county facilities and replacing with 8 members, striking 8 members under highway and transportation.
Yeah, wait a minute. We have to, first I have to, let's see. Thorsland made the motion. I'm sorry. It's on the floor, so you can amend it. I need to say who said it. Thorsland made the motion, and Rosales made the second. Okay, you would like to amend, Mr. Vajaspati?
Yes, by swapping county facilities having 8 members and highway and transportation having 7 members.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
I'm sorry, I can't see who's doing it. Okay, Mr. Summers. Okay, any discussion on the amendment? Okay, all those in favor of the amendment? Aye. All those opposed? Aye. Can we have a can count? I think we carried, but I can't. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, all those opposed? Okay, the motion carries. All right, so the first motion was that we pass the board rules regarding the formation of the committees as one committee of the whole with 3 standing committees with 8, now with the amendment with 8 members on the facilities committee. That's the amendment on the floor. Pardon? And 7 members on highway. Okay, any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Anything else about the board rules that we want to have motions on before we just go on the whole thing here? All right, I'm entertaining a motion to adopt the board rules. Mr. Vajaspati, Mr. Patterson? Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, we have our business done. Any other business that anybody would like to bring before the board this evening? I would just like to remind the board members that as new board members or newly elected board members, that you are responsible for completing the Open Meetings Act training. You can do that online through the the Attorney General's website, and that needs to be done within the next 90 days. You will get a certificate, which you can put on file with the clerk. Ms. Cowart?
Yes, do the board members need to give their preference on what committee that they would prefer to be on?
The board chair will determine who's on the committees, and that will happen at our next meeting. So yes, you would talk to the board chair about that.
Okay.
That's not the business tonight.
Okay, I was just asking.
Okay, short meeting. The meeting is adjourned.